we're on. Let me get this noise that people will hopefully not be hearing once I edit this recording. All right, I'm just speaking to the side of the sticker. Like this.
I think it's that one that's making the noise, huh?
Yeah, I mean both of them.
And then later you just...
Cut it out.
And it cuts everything out.
All of that,
So
that sound.
It's
Well, no, it's not going to cut that. Everybody, welcome to an episode of Gig, Pray, Love. I'm not sure what number we're on right now, but we're going to press on because that's not important. I'm in my makeshift booth right now with my buddy who I would like to introduce himself in his own words.
Hi, my name is Alex. I go by Karaoke Alex. I'm a KJ.
Hey.
I've been doing it for 20 years now.
Uh-huh.
And thank you, Sam, for having me.
Yeah, man. No problem. Me and you have been karaokeing. Well, you've been the karaoke master, and I have been the lowly singer that comes and begs for tunes for a few years now. It's been like 4 or 5 years that I've been going to that bar. Specifically Edelweiss over on Chicago's northwest side there. But do you do any other venues that I'm not aware of?
Actually, at this time, I don't. I used to have like about 6 or 7 venues at a time in a week.
Mm-hmm. So you just kind of scaled back down to the one. Is it because Edelweiss is your favorite?
No, it was just easier to stick to one place.
Mm-hmm.
When I had all 6 locations, and it would be a little difficult because people would ask me, "Where are you going? Where are you at this week?" And the owners would get upset because they think I was stealing their clientele, taking them to other bars.
Got you.
So, kind of to show a little respect for the owners, I kept it all in one space.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, that's really nice of you. Yeah, normally I'm not sure if the listeners are aware, but we're also acquainted with another KJ and just general DJ Master of Ceremonies, Kev Raken, who does the karaoke and DJing over at Replay Lincoln Park. And that guy, I don't think he takes a night off. I think every single night he's off spinning tunes at a different place, and I respect it, but at the same time, I don't know that I even personally have the energy to be able to do that. Like how do some people, like you used to do that? What was it that like kept you going when you were, bouncing around so often?
It was mainly the fact that every bar had a different atmosphere, different people, and the music. Like for instance, when I was DJing or KJing in Schiller Park,
Mm-hmm.
My crowd was about 40s and up,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a lot of Beatles, Bee Gees,
Mm-hmm.
70s, and 60s and 50s, some Frank Sinatra, Elvis
The classics.
Presley. Yeah, then I go to like Edelweiss and I got everything that's from 2000 up. Sometimes I'll get some 90s.
Oh, you get some Black Sabbath in there every once in a
Yeah.
while too. We get some classics, but it is a lot of country too in there sometimes.
There is, but
Yeah.
most of the time it's 90s and up.
Right.
It's usually our crowd, the crowd that you follow.
Yeah.
That usually brings all the old
Yeah.
80s and 70s sometimes.
It helps that a
and
few
it
of them
helps.
are a few years
It
older.
I did have a bar that was all country that was out in Mannheim Road. I believe the town was called Stone Park.
Okay.
So they were all country. They love their country music.
Gotcha.
So, and the reason I like it, the question was basically, why did I, what is it about working at different locations?
Yeah.
It was like I got to learn and respect other genres of music because of the fact that I was learning these songs and learning about the artists as these people would come up and sing about them. And if there was an artist that I like, hey, that song's not so bad, I actually like it.
Right.
I would, do some research on that artist and find out that I actually like more of their songs that I didn't even know they sang until I researched them.
Right. Kind of expand your musical library there, which, for a DJ or KJ, very important to be well versed in different kinds of music, like you said, for the different locations, for the different kinds of clientele. So kind of like tailoring your act to your audience almost.
Correct.
Yeah. So, what got you into doing karaoke jockey stuff?
I used to frequent this bar that started having karaoke on Tuesday nights, and the KJ was actually a friend of mine. We knew each other for a couple of years before he actually started doing music there.
Yeah.
And he was constantly trying to convince me to do karaoke, and I was like, nope, nope, nope. But every song that people were singing at the time, I knew because it was songs that I grew up with.
Right.
And so I was constantly playing pool and singing along. And he was always like, hey, instead of singing along, why don't you pick out a song and perform your own song? And so I told him, I go, if you ever come across any Mark Anthony music, which is an artist that I'm crazy about, I will sing, I promise. And he sure did, but he got Mark Anthony's first English song that I had no idea about. So I had to learn it within a week, and then came back and I fulfilled my promise.
You
and
belted it out for the crowd.
I belted it out. I sang for him, and then like 2 weeks later, he asked me to host for him. So that kind of felt good, and the money was good. I mean, can you really complain making $150 in 3 hours?
Not really.
Back in 2000.
Sure. Sure, definitely.
So, yeah, it was very easy to get convinced.
So it was kind of like you just kind of fell into it almost.
Pretty much, yeah. It pretty much fell into my lap. And the beauty of it was, you're working at a bar or a restaurant, you're drinking.
Yeah.
At the time in Chicago, you can still smoke, and I used to smoke.
Oh man, those were the days, weren't they?
I didn't have to take a smoke break like I would do with my normal job, because I could smoke whenever I wanted to.
Right.
I became my own boss. And there was no laws about me flirting on the job.
Nah.
Everyone flirted with me too. So
sure.
it was awesome, So yeah, it's still the best job, I think, for me.
But what's better though, getting flirted with or getting a tip when you pick a song out for somebody?
Because of today's crazy laws and how some women are, I prefer the tip.
That's fair. You never know where an encounter can lead, and what kind of feelings could be involved.
Brush themselves up against me, expecting me to move their song up, and I feel like that's, if I pay attention and get distracted. We are in a drinking environment. I do not want to get accused of sexual harassment.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So I kind of just brush her off, tell her no, and just keep doing what I got to do.
A polite decline.
Yeah. Anything that happens outside of karaoke, no problem.
But on karaoke, you keep it on the straight and narrow.
I have to. I became a professional after a while. I realized that this was just like no other, just like any other job. I mean, and that I started taking it seriously and started doing things a little more careful. Yeah, do I drink on the job still? Yes, I do. You already know that.
You're in a bar.
I'm in a bar.
You were on a break for a bit. Are you back on the sauce?
And yes. I'm not on. Only 16 days today.
Okay.
No alcohol.
Okay.
But my goal is 120.
So, all right. That's a super healthy decision to make. I mean, just for longevity, for your blood pressure, everything gets affected when you cut that out of your routine.
That's one of the reasons why I'm doing it, to live a little healthier, to get a healthier life, to drop some pounds.
Yep.
It's easier to do when you take some of the addictions out. And get them out the way, and start being in control, get that willpower back going. Right. So
it does take ratcheting that back up a little bit. I mean, I've learned this with other things as well. But if something's such a part of your routine that you start to think about it as just part of the actual act, like KJ, beer and shots. It's just
it kind of does go hand in hand.
No, I mean, I was in a band for a few years, and whenever we would go out and play, even if there wasn't drinks provided by the venue, all of us would have a beer or a shot or a couple of mixed drinks, because we when most of us were in high school, we had a music teacher who had a couple of mantras, and one of the ones that he banged on really hard was, you practice the way you play. And we would all have a beer while we practiced. So once it was time to play, we would all have a beer when we played. And that just kind of became the routine. And of course, there were a few moments where like we all got a little too sloshy, but then there were other moments where like, you know, that necessity is the mother of invention, but alcohol is necessity's cousin or something like that.
Well, you also get people that just want to buy you a drink, and
Yeah.
especially when you're on stage. Because I know when I went to see my friends perform, as soon as they got off stage, I was like so proud of them because I'd never seen one of their shows. I was like, wow, you know, I didn't realize you guys were this talented.
Right on.
You know, let me take you to the bar, and you know, drinks are on me, and I just like, you know, I took care of them for the rest of the night after they were done with their show. But because I was so impressed with them, and the fact that I felt like, how am I missing this part of their lives when we're friends? You know?
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of like friends and family, like in relation to being a KJ, like what do you ever DJ at like family parties and stuff like that
all
too?
the time.
Or yeah?
Every time I get a chance, I bring out the KJ, the karaoke machine, and get it going.
Birthday parties?
Yeah, actually, I don't think you've ever been to one of my backyard barbecues, have you?
No, I have not had the pleasure yet.
Well, unfortunately for this year, because I'm doing some work on my backyard.
I actually
won't
have been
be
seeing
doing
the
it.
pictures on Facebook. They look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I had to take a little break, but I'm gonna get back to it. And since too many people have too many different ideas, and they're steering me away from what I really want to do.
With the backyard, you mean?
Yeah, I kind of canceled them out. I said, nope, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't do it my way, then hit the highway, because it's not going to be your way. It's not your backyard.
Isn't it? It's like your mom's place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, if anybody's got final say, it would be you or her.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great because I mean, as an independent musician, I did get people from my family or my friends like out to my shows as often as I could, but you know, you got to do a lot of work just to make it okay for a rock band to come play in your backyard, even in like the middle of the day on a summer's day. Like you can't just do that, it seems, most times. So it's cool that you're able to kind of bring that part of your life in with your family and create more fun for everybody through doing that.
I think for some reason that doing a karaoke in the backyard would be easier than it is to do rock, a rock band. It's probably the fact that I can control the level of volume.
Yeah.
Versus a rock band needs to be loud.
And plus, if just a drum set in a backyard would be too jarring for most people in a neighborhood.
You have 2 blocks away, someone complaining.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't just work in KJ stuff. You also have a couple of other gigs too, right? Like you do a few different things.
I was working at a dealer 6 days a week, car dealer, and that got boring real quick.
Sure.
You know, I was a sales manager there, but I wasn't feeling the need of sticking around. So I kind of let that go. Right now, I'm actually doing some driving for Postmates, DoorDash. I was doing Lyft and Uber at one time. Didn't care for Lyft and Uber because I was tired of people making a mess in my car and then complaining that the car was dirty when, in fact, I always had a clean car.
Sure.
So I'm like, let me try the other aspect of doing some delivery. And I'm really not liking that either. So now
it can be rough.
I'm actually looking for something else.
Yeah, I have a pretty solid history of doing most of those things. Really just the food delivery, like the Uber Eats. And I did Postmates for a while, but to me, they were one of the worst companies to jump on with. Like DoorDash and Caviar, I've heard mostly good things about. But, in the gig life, like that ride share kind of economy, like, there's always good. You're dealing with a new customer generally about every 15 minutes on a busy night with food, or then you have to deal with the restaurant not having it ready. Yeah, no, I definitely have scoped out a few neighborhoods that like on certain nights are just hopping.
I've been in sections where it's totally like red because that's supposed to be the hot spot.
Yeah. No, nothing. They make you wait.
Nothing.
They see you taking the effort to get to that job, and then they go, nope, somebody else got here before you, because we're showing the same map to 50, 60 other people.
Yeah. And so right now I'm actually doing the DoorDash, but it's kind of like weird. You got to schedule yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they got like a 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. I don't think so. In the areas that I want to work at. Yeah.
That's those late night trucker hours, buddy.
Yeah, and then you got to drive to a certain area that is on that schedule.
Okay.
So that's kind of like, okay, so now I'm going to drive all the way out there.
Yeah.
And sit there for an hour to get one order.
Right, yeah, no, not worth it.
Because that's what happened to me on my first 2 deliveries with them. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be a problem.
And when I find the time, because right now I really am kind of focusing on getting the yard done and also getting the basement done and the attic done.
Nice.
So I got a lot of work. And
it sounds like it.
Yeah, that's another reason why I quit the drinking, so I have more energy in the morning.
That's good.
So,
damn, I hit a dead spot. We already talked about your main gig at the car dealership, but like, do you ever like volunteer your time, or do you have like any side ventures that you spend time on?
I actually volunteered a couple of years ago and last year with the White Sox. They did charity events for homeless kids, orphans, and
good stuff.
Yeah, kids that were with foster parents, and it was amazing. It's like Christmas, especially. It's
sure.
I knew the money didn't come out of my pocket, but the time spent with those kids, watching them open these gifts that were given to them by the White Sox Corporation. And to be there and seeing a smile on their face and helping them with their little projects, because we gave them projects, and we're able to feed them. And one kid's like, "Hey, can I have another hot dog?" And I'm like, "You can all have another hot dog. Anybody else wants another hot dog?"
Yeah.
And it was just a 3-hour. This was last Christmas. It was only 3 hours, and it was very fulfilling. So I suggest to anyone out there that feels like they need to do some charity work, find a place that volunteers. I volunteered with senior citizens at a park, which was great, because all you did was basically we took them out to the park, let them enjoy themselves, have conversations with them themselves, got them some lunch, make sure none of them got lost, because some of these seniors were from a nursing home.
So they got Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that, yeah.
And it's a pleasure for them.
Absolutely.
It's something that they no longer have because they're locked up in a room, or if they got this certain area, recreational areas that they could talk at with other patients, and it's the same 4 walls every day.
So it gets old.
When they get this time to go outside, it's beautiful. It's they love it.
Yeah.
This was held at Millennium Park by I can't remember that restaurant's name, but it's not too far off from there.
Right.
It's a nice time. I really suggest anyone who needs to feel good about themselves to do some charity work somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it costs you nothing. And granted, like, your time is valuable, everybody, but like
you don't even know where your money's going.
Right.
So go out there and do it yourself. Get out there and and if at the end of the day you like the place that you volunteered for and you feel like you want to make a donation, go for it. Yeah, for sure. Donating your time is more valuable than the money you're giving them, because like the guy that runs UNICEF, he's making like what, $3 billion a year. It's like,
I mean, you are touching on something that's very, very close to my heart, because my grandmother has not quite full blown dementia right now, and she is just the sweetest lady, and also 100% the reason that my family is still as close as we are, and she's the matriarch, and even before she was diagnosed, she would actually even come with me and my family, and we'd do soup kitchens, or we'd pass out lunches to people, or there's my parents are very involved at their temple, there's a Jewish holiday that involves this practice called Ma'ot Chitim, which is dispersal of food to people in need. Whatever you can give. And if you can't give anything, then, like you said, you can donate your time and go to this warehouse where they have everything, in these piles, piled up on those, what are those, pallets. And people running through with these, the hand jacks and stuff with the different pallets of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, bags of chips, fresh bags of carrots and stuff, and just making these little lunch boxes. And exactly like you said, when you hand that stuff over to them and you see their relief, their happiness, face. Like the kind of like the weight getting lifted off. It's a really big thing, and that's 100%. Like I fully agree with Alex. If you ever are looking for time and you think, or for a cause, and you think that you can't do anything alone, just go join a group of people that have the same feelings that you do. Make it happen for someone else. Reach out. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. When it comes to being someone with a setup like yours, kind of that gig life where you have a couple of appointments a week that you have to make, and then otherwise your time is your own. Like you said, you become your own boss. I feel like, at least for me, it's become more of a challenge in scheduling and also for planning, like just planning my expenses, planning all that other kind of stuff. Have you found that to be true also?
Yes, actually. It's 20 years now, and I'm still struggling with planning. So it's like I start planning now. My birthday's in March, and I've already planned what I'm doing in my birthday now.
Smart.
Because if I don't, it's going to be like every year celebrating it. It's
just going to blow by.
Same bar I work at, and I don't want to do that. Not, year after year after year, I've, been celebrating my birthday at a bar, which is not what I've been wanting to do.
Right.
Last 2 years, I've been wanting to do it on a cruise, and finally this coming year is going to be on a cruise.
Oh, awesome, man. That's great.
Before that, it was supposed to be in Vegas. I still haven't done a birthday in Vegas yet, so that's the following year, It's
probably best for your bank account that you've been missing out on that one.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm not a big gambler. I stay away from tables. And
I'm one of the dorks that would go to Vegas and be like, let's go to the Smithsonian Museum.
No, actually, I like going to the casinos. I do.
Yeah.
But I like their nightlife. There's a lot going on. There's
that open container law, man.
Yeah, and it's awesome out there. It's just beautiful, especially at night, because a few years ago, I went with my team, my pool league team.
Yeah.
And we were burning ourselves to death,
in the sun
with that weather. It was
yeah.
And some say, humid heat is much worse than dry heat. I'm like, I beg to differ.
Speaking as someone that's experienced both.
Yeah, I feel like you need the moisture out there with that dry heat and that dry air, and someone with bad lungs like me.
Yeah, you breathe and you're dehydrating yourself.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. So I felt like I could not be outside more than half hour. So when the nighttime came and it cooled off a little bit, which wasn't by much, but it did cool off.
Yeah.
We can go out and have a good time.
Yeah.
We could hit the restaurants. We actually went to karaoke bars. We did. We went to Fremont, where you just party in the street. Did the zip line. It's there's a lot to do. I didn't get to do the coaster on the building, but
well, touching on that, your pool league a little bit, like, I know you do it for the love of the game and to have fun, but also like that can be something that's also kind of like a money maker for somebody, right?
Yeah, there's actually a league called the MPL, which is it's a money league, and they play on a different night. I've been invited to join them.
Yeah,
and they said it's just about everyone makes money regardless. By the end of the season, everyone gets money back. But their season is almost a year long.
It's a long season.
Yeah, so I
a lot of traveling for games and stuff too, I imagine.
Yeah, but that's the reason why I like the I'm on the APA league.
Yeah.
they have 3 seasons. So like right now, it's summer season, I didn't really want to play, so I took my Sunday morning league off. Only came back to play on the night league on Sunday because of Andre and Sandra.
No, those are our close personal buddies.
Yeah, and then my Thursday league, I want to keep that one because that's my league. That's my team that I put together. But yeah, if push gets to, when it gets a little too much, you can take a season off.
Sure.
But with the money league, and then that's a different night. Now you're playing too many nights a week, and you just don't start. You start losing the love. You know how it is.
Sure. Yeah.
You can say I love crab legs, right?
Yeah.
And then you eat crab legs for 2 weeks straight, and you're like, if I ever see a crab, I'm shooting it. Or, you don't want to eat it no more.
Right.
And it'll be a while before you get that craving for that crab leg again. But you know what I'm saying? So too much of a good thing can be bad sometimes.
Oh, definitely. I super feel that. And I mean, speaking of food, like I guess I've kind of made myself into an unofficial Aldi shill, because like I get to talking about like planning, life planning, all that jazz, and food is a pretty big part of taking care of oneself, making sure if you got no fuel in the car, you can't go anywhere. So like, I mean, to me, like doing this gig life, I work in catering, so sometimes I get to take home a plate, and that's a happy day. But I also, have learned like where to cut certain corners. Like I can't go all out every grocery shopping trip, or I can't go all out every time I go out to eat. And it's not a bad thing, because moderation is super important. But like, how has that, been something that affected your life and at all?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned food, because before karaoke, I was a chef.
Oh, hey.
A professional chef at the Marriott. I used to work the fine dining restaurant, the JW's restaurant, and I was the chef of that restaurant. I created the menu, I created the specials, I ordered the food, and then it turned out that I was the only one certified on that floor to be working in the kitchen. So I also became a trainer to train some of the other cooks, because there had to be at least one certified cook in every kitchen. So I had to train a couple of cooks, so that they can go get their certification.
What was that
within
like?
A couple of hours. It wasn't hard, because most of them already knew. Because when you come into a kitchen, when you start cooking, you start picking up on stuff.
Well, yeah.
Sanitation laws.
Definitely.
Temperatures.
Safekeeping temperatures, exactly, yeah.
And what type... when to call off, like what type of illnesses not to be in the kitchen for.
Sure.
Like a cold and a flu. You really don't want to be in the kitchen with.
No, definitely not.
And, I mean, you cough into or sneeze by a salad, it's going to pick up those germs. Now you just infected some customers, maybe the waiter, and possibly some other co-workers.
Right.
So, yeah,
It can be bad.
We had a lot of... when it comes to going to a store, my advice, and I think a lot of people know this advice, they've probably heard it a lot. The best advice is always eat before you go shopping.
Oh, God, yes.
Because if you don't, everything that you like...
Everything looks so good.
Craving.
It looks so good.
Like, oh, chocolate donuts. Oh, Intamins. I love you.
Yeah.
Hostess.
It happens to me across the entire store. I'll just be walking through and go, oh, the steak. And look at these apples. Oh, my God. Look at this cereal. I want to try that.
You'll be like, I'm going to have steak tonight. No, you know what? We'll make steak tomorrow night. Tonight we're having salmon. Look at how fresh that salmon looks. Oh, look, the chicken is on sale.
Oh, hell yes.
You take everything. And so... as a person who's actually trying to lose some weight now and learning how to control my nutrition.
You doing more cooking at home?
I'm doing a lot more cooking at home. I'm also learning to stay away from those center aisles, which is another advice that I give people, like stay away from processed foods.
Yeah.
Canned foods, stuff like that. If you can buy canned green beans, go to the frozen section. If you don't want to buy them fresh, go to the frozen section.
Right.
If you could buy them fresh, cook them before, and freeze them yourself.
Sure.
Because at the same time, you're saving yourself more money by buying them fresh.
And plus, they're not
usually
sitting in
cheaper.
that like saline solution or anything like that to keep them
Exactly.
safe from.
But you're safer eating frozen than canned.
Ah,
But you're also safer eating fresh than either of those two.
True, true.
And if you can freeze your own,
wash your veggies though, people.
yeah, you got Ziploc bags, freezer bags.
Yeah.
Go home, blanch them a little bit, or freeze them fresh.
Freeze them fresh, yeah.
And then cook them when you're ready to cook them. Same goes for corn and other vegetables.
Yeah.
Broccoli and cauliflower do not do well in the freezer.
Yeah.
You
Those
have
got to be
cook
like
them.
flash frozen and stuff like that.
Yeah, or you got to cook them a little bit. Blanch them a little so that they can shrink out all the water that's in it or the air that I don't know what it is that breaks them down.
For our listeners that aren't aware, blanching is just a quick boil and then a very quick drain as well.
Correct.
And spray with cold water.
And at the same time, they can already put the salt on them if they want. And then just
Pre-season, smart.
pop them in the microwave, take it out, just pop them in their mouth, and they're ready to eat.
Sounds like a good time to me. Oh yeah, man. That's fun. So what got you to drop chef work for other ventures?
Karaoke?
Well, for anything, like, because you were also selling cars, you were doing some other stuff, but like, what was it that got you to do the move? Was it because karaoke's more fun?
Karaoke is more fun, even though I love food. I love creating plates. What it was basically being my own boss.
Right.
At some point you realize that you're still not your own boss because you are working at an establishment, but when something goes wrong, it's an easier exit strategy than it is at a job like the Marriott.
Right. You are in charge of the accountability process and stuff like that. You don't have to listen to someone chew you out necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't have to sit there and say, "Oh, if I didn't need this paycheck."
No, right? Yeah.
But when I was with the Marriott, it was more of learning, just learning everything I could learn.
Yeah.
I got my culinary degree, and I loved cooking, and I was this close to being the manager, and I just said no, I don't want that position. I was already doing it anyway,
Right.
But I just didn't want
training
it.
all of your people.
Yeah.
You basically were a manager.
It was a salary position, and I made more money not being on salary because I was doing 60 to 70 hours a week. So it was a lot of overtime for me, and I was making more money than two of the managers there already. So I was like, yeah, no. I mean, technically they told me they wouldn't lower my pay, but I would be put on salary.
Right.
Which required me being there 50 hours a week.
Instead of 36 to 40. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I was always there 60 to 70 hours, but those extra 20 hours would have been
covered
out the window. So
yeah, speaking as someone who knows a few people that have moved up in the ranks in terms of the entertainment or the food industry, like do your due diligence, do the math, and think about the time that you're going to be providing for your establishment, because sometimes you end up getting the short end of the stick moving up a rung, and it might be better to stay where you're at and be able to almost be more friendly with your coworkers rather than jumping into that manager's seat and realizing that A, friend time is over, B, you're getting thrown down the river a little bit.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, because when you become a manager, you literally have to isolate yourself from these people. You can no longer have a social life outside of work with them.
Right.
And
really changes
if there's
the dynamic.
someone that they want you to fire, it might be your best friend, that's your best coworker, and that you get along with.
Right.
And now you have to turn around and be the one to say, "Hey, I gotta fire you."
It's a tough position to be in.
So I mean, I don't get me wrong. If you got a management position out there, it's not a bad position. It's a great position. For those of you who like being leaders,
yeah.
You got to be good at separating yourself and separating your friendship, I guess, and your relationships with people. if you can't do that, then management positions aren't all cut out to be.
Right.
You know?
I mean, the metaphor I like to stick to is sometimes it's okay to just be the rhythm guitarist, and that's not speaking down on any rhythm guitarist, because that's like when I was in a band. Every band I was in, that was all I wanted. I never wanted to be the lead guitarist, vying for front of stage time, having people look at me and reaching out to give me the spirit fingers while I was ripping a solo, because it's not. I personally far more enjoy being part of the machine and hearing it chug along the way it's supposed to, rather than trying to step up and get in the spotlight, and then not even like when it comes to making mistakes, but it's just the stakes are so much higher. And I'm not saying that no one should be a lead guitarist, just like you're saying. Like some people are just cut out for that a little bit better.
Exactly. And if that's what you want, that's what you go for. I personally respect what you just said right now, because if you think about it, there's always someone else who thinks they know what you do better than you do. And
Definitely.
And they might be right on some of their shortcuts or some of their advice, but if this is something I do, let me enjoy it the way I do it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Do you have any like highlights from your days in the kitchen? Like anything that still like comes back to you and you just go, oh yeah, that was good.
It was always when a customer would ask for the chef, and that restaurant manager, she was awesome. She just let me guessing, and I'd go out there, and it was to get complimented.
Mm-hmm.
They never ate anything quite as good as what I made, and that's like the greatest compliment to get when you're a chef.
Yeah, it's real nice.
And also you get to take a shot with the customer because they buy you a shot of Louis the 13th,
Hey.
which at the time was $75 a shot.
Right. It's gone down a little bit now, I think. Not by
Yeah.
much.
Well, I think it's because the crystal bottle is not worth as much, or they stopped making them out of crystal. But
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
it's an amazing. It's just whiskey.
Right, yeah. Kind of seems like being a KJ would be like highlights all the time. Like you get to see that person having fun. Like let's kind of make it into a metaphor. If the person singing is the person eating your food, you're the KJ. You've given them this plate, and they have just slurped up all the sauce off it. They turn around to you at the end of the song. Like, what's the best reaction you've gotten from somebody?
Oh, the best reaction I've gotten from somebody,
Like in doing the KJ stuff, yeah.
there was this guy. He wanted to be called General John.
General John.
He still comes. He actually didn't know I was working at Edelweiss now.
Mm-hmm.
He used to go to my other bar, which will stay unmentioned. But he loved that. If he wanted more reverb, if he wanted more echo, I gave it to him. He's like, he loved the microphones that I had, and the fact that I actually gave him that, let him, called him by the name he wanted to be called.
Right.
I've been to places where KJs will be like, "No, what's your real name?"
Uh-huh.
And I think like, hey, you know what? It's part of the act.
Yeah.
If they want to be called Sir Elvis. Let them be called Sir Elvis. If they want to be called Lady Madonna, let them be called Lady Madonna.
Yeah.
It's their choice. They're trying to have a good time, and they're trying to impress their friends or the crowd that's out there.
Sure.
Or just have a good time by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some really wonderful singers and some really horrible singers. And some
As
of
it
the
happens,
horrible
yeah.
singers are, no, Sam, you're actually pretty good.
No. I'm just saying. Like I was actually going to touch on this in a second. Please go ahead.
Oh, I thought you whispered in them. I'm one of the worst. No, because you're not. You're actually awesome.
No, shut up.
So, but my thing is, at the end of the day, karaoke is not a talent show. It's not American Idol. Like Simon Cowell kind of almost made it at one point.
Right.
When he kept saying, "Oh, it's too karaoke, it's too karaoke, too karaoke," and I have people come and acting like they were at the American Idol contest, and I was like, dude, just have fun,
Right.
because that's what it's about, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And they just come back. They just come back because they love it. They, to be able to express yourself to a song,
Right.
even if it's not a song you wrote or a song that that you invented,
hmm
these
It just
people
touches you in that way.
And to get the reaction that from the crowd, some of them don't expect it.
Yeah.
I had a guy the other day said, I just realized that everyone's singing all these beautiful songs, and I'm about to sing Mother. Can I change my song by Danzig? And I said, no. He goes, are you serious? You let me change my other song? I go, no, because this crowd loves that song.
Yeah. Oh, they do.
And they're going to love that you sang it. Trust me. And he didn't want to do it. He's like, oh, not yet then. I'll just sing this one first. Okay. I let him change it.
Uh-huh.
But then later I put him back up and I made him sing Mother by Danzig.
Yeah.
And the crowd went wild. And he came up to me later and says, like, you weren't kidding. I told you. They sing it at least once a week here.
Yeah. You got to know your crowd. And I mean, that's
it'll
something.
be the same guy that sang Hello by Lionel Richie. Yes. It doesn't matter.
Beautiful. Yeah, that to me. I've been doing karaoke in bars since I was 16. Like, my parents have always been super supportive of me in like any kind of musical endeavor, and that was one of them. And they knew that I had mad stage fright, so they almost forced me into coming to their favorite bar and to do karaoke. And my bonus was that it was a live band that night, so I got to sing Mustang Sally for the first time with a live band.
Great song.
Like, first time singing in front of people when I wasn't like part of a choir or anything like that, and I was just so uncomfortable. But like, as I've continued to do karaoke and continued to be in like the music scene and stuff, like, good and bad have kind of gotten removed from my my dictionary when it comes to talking about people performing music, because just like you said, someone expressing themselves through a song is a beautiful thing, and whether they hit every note or don't, that person's having a moment, and that's amazing. That's something that I think needs to be better understood about karaoke in general, is that you don't have to be an amazing singer to go do karaoke. The whole point is that everybody gets their moment in the spotlight. Everybody gets that moment on the stage, and when everybody's clapping at the end, it's just that great feeling. And it feels really good to be like accepted by a group of people in that room, and to have put yourself out there and to have gotten a positive result. And I think more people need that in their lives.
And the good thing is also, it's like sometimes you're the newbie, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of people that you're about to meet right after you're done singing, because whether you do a good job or a good performance or a horrible job, but you make these people love you because of the way you present yourself, you just made some friends.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
the easiest way to make friends. When you go
music?
to a bar,
Talking about music?
Yeah.
Holy hell yes.
You go to a bar and you say, hey, can I buy you a drink? I mean, I see you sitting there alone, and they'll be like, yeah, and I want to keep it that way. You come up to a girl and just compliment her on her hair or how she looks, and she's like, yeah, my boyfriend will be here in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Girls go up to guys and they're like, yeah, I'm kind of gay, It's like, so, and, but with karaoke, you kind of like break the ice with everybody at one time.
That's a good way of putting it.
Because people, if they liked you, they're going to come up to you, hey, man, you did a good job, and blah, blah, blah. Some of them even offer to buy you a drink because of you singing, So, yeah, I think everyone should try karaoke at least once in their life.
For sure.
Because I got a lot of people that criticize it, say they hate it, but they've never actually tried it.
Right.
How can you hate something you've never tried? And don't say because everyone else does it really bad. Because
it's
you don't know what they're feeling.
They haven't gotten that perspective yet. Yeah.
And when you get up there and you can feel what they're feeling, then you'll learn to respect it a little better.
Right. Everybody, everybody's voice cracks. Everybody hits a wrong note now and then.
Yeah. Like I said, when I first started karaoke, I was constantly singing at the bar anyway. But I was playing pool. I was playing darts. I wasn't noticing people paying attention to my singing.
Mm-hmm.
And when the KJ said, "Hey, why don't you sing on a microphone instead?" I was like, yeah, no. I was like really shy about it. I didn't want to do it,
Yeah.
and it took him at least 6 months before he finally convinced me. And the only way was to get Mark Anthony, and I just didn't think he'd be able to get him,
Right.
because I didn't think that there was at the time what I wanted from Mark Anthony was in Spanish, and I didn't think that there was any Spanish karaoke out there.
Right.
You know?
Right. And there, you know what? For a
And it
while, there
turned out
probably wasn't.
There wasn't.
The market.
There wasn't.
The market as people perceived it
It's still hard to
was,
find, believe it or not.
just all English speaking. No, I do believe it. Like that's. I'm glad that it's progressing because everybody deserves to sing their favorite song in whatever language they prefer.
Yeah.
And I do love when you throw on those Latin songs when we're at the bar.
I
Partially.
wish I did have some like Russian songs since the owners are Russian.
Yeah, yeah.
And some Polish songs. I know there's a guy that he used to work at a place called Jadenka's or
Okay.
once Jadinka's. It was on Palace, Diversity and Central, and he had a lot of Polish music, but I don't know where he got it from.
Gotcha.
And as a person who respects and loves music, I will not play YouTube. I will not steal it from YouTube
Mm-hmm.
because first off, YouTube is not giving the credit to the artist.
Right. It could
And
be
doesn't even have
anybody
the
who posted
permission.
it. Yeah.
So even though it's like you can turn around, you could get a karaoke maker, editor
Right.
program on your computer and start making karaoke songs and
Mhm.
create a YouTube page and just start putting. But you don't have permission from the artist to be
Right,
making
right.
those songs, as you see a lot of those out there.
Mm-hmm.
And
No performance fees are paying back to them from that.
nothing.
Right.
So I like to purchase my stuff, and I like to purchase regular music too because it continues to pay the artist and pay everyone involved.
Right.
Because one song, a 3-minute song, you know how much production goes into a 3-minute song.
God.
You've been in a band,
Oof.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of work
Oh yeah.
for a 3-minute song.
And even more work
find
to
out
like
someone
throw
just-
on the board and everything, like to do
someone
the
took
editing.
it and less than 20 minutes turned it into a karaoke song,
Yeah.
and you're not getting any credit or any kind of payment for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of disrespectful.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
No argument here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, you can... There's always extremes in stuff like that, but, like, you've got your Metallicas who were going after, like, 12-year-old kids who were downloading Ride the Lightning. Like, I get the frustration, but I would have respected it a lot more if it was an independent artist going on that track rather than one of the biggest rock bands in the entire world.
Right.
I still understand why they had to get into that mode, but at the same time, I wish that they hadn't made themselves into the poster children for getting kids arrested for listening to their music.
Yeah,
And sometimes a 12-year-old don't have $20 to throw at an album,
that's true. That's true.
So it's just
But
a bummer.
also, their music wasn't really targeted for 12-year-olds.
No, I mean that's about when I got into them.
Yeah,
when
but
I was like early, like tween, early teenage years was when I stopped listening to my parents' music as much and started formulating my own
Your own
catalog.
style,
Yeah, and I still do listen to like the Beach Boys, and my dad had a Joe Satriani CD, and oh man, like I was raised on quite a white catalog, but moving from that and like learning about all the different kinds of bands and then the other bands that took influence from them was probably one of the best times in my life, like getting to extrapolate from like they had only one Led Zeppelin CD. They had Led Zeppelin 1, and that like the kind of blues to like heavy rock stuff got me into Metallica and then Slipknot and System of a Down, and then I had my Limp Bizkit phase, and then I moved on into like more serious political metal or Black and Doom, and like just being able to explore music like that honestly is just one of the coolest things. And I love that my parents were supportive, but also like they laid an okay groundwork because it wasn't all just white folks. There was some some other artists in there too. We had some Marvin Gaye. We had the Bob Marley Greatest Hits album
Chuck
and
Berry,
stuff.
of course.
Yeah, so
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles. R.I.P.
Well, I got a question for you.
Go for it.
You know, and how long you been doing karaoke?
I'm 31, so 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
And what would you say is your favorite song? And then what would you say was your favorite song performed?
My favorite song to listen to? Someone
favorite
perform?
song to hear.
Favorite song to hear.
Favorite song to sing in karaoke. And then the favorite song that you feel you did your best performance on. It could be, it's probably the same song, but,
well,
you know.
Favorite song to perform is probably still either Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, Otis Redding, or Saturday in the Park by Chicago.
Great
Those
songs,
two,
both
they
of them.
both fit into my range really well, and like two artists that I grew up listening to also, so it was just kind of like that fun nostalgia. And favorite song to perform, like where I can just go buck wild, is every single time the Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood. And it's only because I've been listening to those cats since I was 13. I know all the words to that song, and I don't even look at the screen anymore at this point. And so doing that, I can just like turn around and actually perform to the crowd, and like really kind of let myself loose and have a good time. So that's the one. That's the one where
I had a feeling that was going to be your favorite song to perform.
Dude, I mean, you've seen me doing it. When I do that one, I'm walking up over to people and like putting the mic in their face because they know some of the words too. I can see them reading along with the screen. Whoever cares, stick it in their face. They'll jump in the song with you, and like that's the essence of karaoke to me, is like everybody's having a good time. But we're reaching near to our close now, and I was wondering if there were any lessons that you think you might have left off that you want the people to know.
Yeah, a little. Don't pretend you're on stage, on a real stage. If you're doing hip hop songs or any kind of song you do not cover the mic head, because when you cover the mic head, all you do is create feedback for the speakers.
You start to sound like this,
and we can't hear you. And you think people are hearing you, but they're not hearing you. Mm-hmm. So you're actually muffling your voice when you do that. 2, do not drop the mic.
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah.
Don't
you might be
drop it
feeling
on the floor.
exuberant, but that's somebody else's property.
Don't slam it on a table. Don't hit the top of the mic. All those can actually ruin anywhere from the mic all the way down to the amplifier that the mics are actually plugged into.
Absolutely.
That includes the wire, that includes the power wire, and the speaker. So you could be damaging the entire set, the entire equipment of a KJ, just because you thought you were cool by dropping the mic.
Right.
Take care of your KJs just like you take care of your bartender. I don't expect you to tip them if you don't like them. But if you do like them and you think they're doing a good job and they got you up at a good amount of time, I think you should take care of them.
Definitely.
They are working in the service industry, so go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I've had to switch over to tipping since you won't let me buy you any beers because you're on your cleanse. But he's absolutely right. Like in this entertainment industry at large, like people kind of take the performers or the MCs for granted a lot of the time. They don't realize how much that person is helping the party along and keeping it at a good level of fun.
Yeah, just this year I bought 7 microphones and 12 wires.
Yowza.
Yeah, and I got to go back and buy some more wires.
Take care of your KJs, folks.
Yeah, $50 wires is too much to be spending on.
Yeah, it is. And I did take down a couple of things, as I do during our time together, and I'm just going to run through them real quick and kind of give a little bit of backstory for them. So you started talking about how when you were doing different venues, that you would kind of tailor your act to the people. Like there's a certain amount of like planning to it. Like if you come up and request a song, you might not be, the list might already have 12 people on it, but if your song fits in really well with the set of 3 that's somewhere in the middle there, your KJ might help you out and throw you in with a vibe that's going to uplift you and the performers around you at the same time. And that's a cool thing. I like that. A really good KJ will do that for you. Like you just said, take care of your performers, but in a professional way. Don't try and get sexy with your KJ. Don't get into their personal space. They're a person just like you. If you wouldn't like that to happen to you, they don't want that to happen to them. So just they're a person. You got to treat them that way. Take nothing for granted. We were talking about you helping out those kids at the charity event around Christmas time with the White Sox, and it's a beautiful thing to do for another person, is to just give your time to seeing another person be happy, and it'll make you feel happier too. And a little quick lesson from you're talking about your time in the kitchen as a chef and menu creator and all that stuff. Take stock of what you're doing. You may already be at the level you need to be another rung up the ladder, but also make sure that deal is good for you. And try not to let yourself get taken advantage of. Even if it is a good place to work, after a while, those side trips for your big boss, now that you're the manager, oh, hey, can you go pick up this from the store on your way in? Well, that store is about 5 miles out of my way, but sure, because I'm a good worker. Don't always let yourself be taken for a ride. And that doesn't mean starting fights with your higher-ups. It just means kind of setting boundaries so that you're feeling like you're doing a commensurate amount of work to your payment and also to the level of respect that you're receiving. Did I miss anything?
Well, in addition to that, I would like to say, don't sacrifice your happiness for a better position if the position that you're going to get is only bringing more money, because money doesn't buy happiness.
Mm-hmm.
If it means that you're going to work longer hours and less hours with your family or with your friends,
Mm-hmm.
things that you like to do, then you're hurting yourself. You're going to make 100,000, 200,000 extra dollars or whatever, but at the end of the day, when you think about it, in 5 years from now, I can relax, or in 10 years, you're never going to relax.
It only
ask
keeps
anyone
going.
That's 60, 70 years old, that it never stops. You're just going to continue to work and work and work. And the more work they throw at you, the more you're going to work and the more miserable you're going to be, even if you're making the big bucks, Now, unless you hit the lottery and you can sit back and enjoy the rest of your life without doing that, or you can find a job that's going to pay you $1 million a year, that you can take 4 or 5 weeks of vacation a year also, then yes, go for it.
That sounds like the move to me.
Yeah, that would be perfect. But if it's not, if it's only offering you, like $5, $10, $15 more an hour,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to sacrifice, 2 hours more of your life with your family, think about it.
Yeah,
Think
definitely.
about it, because it might not be worth your time.
Take care of yourself, folks. You are the driving force in your own life.
That also includes your pets.
Yes.
They need love too.
Oh, hell yeah. The rule in my house is that if I'm about to eat, I got to make sure the pets have eaten or are going to eat before me. My mom and dad taught me that. They're your little babies, and if you take care of them, they will love you unconditionally forever. Shouts out to my pets. And that brings this Gig, Pray, Love episode to a close. I want to thank everybody for listening, and check in with us in a couple of weeks for a new episode. You've been listening to Gig, Pray, Love, the show where we talk about how to do the gig. You pray that it went right, and you do everything to make sure that it does. And at the end of the day, you got to love what you do, because otherwise, what's the point? Alex, thank you for coming in with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. We'll see you soon. And for anybody looking to do some really fun karaoke at a really fun bar, I would definitely advise you to come check out Edelweiss at around the corner of Belmont and Milwaukee, Fridays and Saturday nights. Starts at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock on
Yeah.
Friday. 10 o'clock on Saturday.
9 o'clock Friday, 10 o'clock on Saturday. I'm never there for the beginning of it because I'm usually working until after it starts, but you guys get that. So anyway, Alex, thanks again, man.
Not a problem, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Gig, pray, love, people.